Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Return to Haunted House on the Hill. So this movie came out in 2007 and this is a direct-to-DVD sequel to that of Haunted House on the Hill, which is a remake of the 1958 movie of the same name. Now, a few months ago, I tried to watch the Haunted House on the Hill, the remake movie. I had seen maybe a trailer before, some images before, but I never watched it when it came out. And in fact, I forgot all about it and stuff. And I tried to watch it, and I could not finish it. Halfway into the movie, I shut that thing off. I just couldn't no more. It had a bunch of celebrities I recognized, like the dude from Buffy who played Spike, but he didn't really do nothing. And so, as I'm watching the movie, I'm just kind of okay, they have to stay in this haunted house. Whoever survives, get the money, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just there's a whole lot of talking, a whole lot of bad dialogue, a whole lot of acting and everything. It's you know what I'm saying? And I'm just I can't take this no more. Even the death scenes are kind of lame and everything. And so I never knew how the movie ended, and I never knew Jeffrey Combs was a crazed doctor in a insane asylum and everything. So I never knew that part because I shut it off, right? And so after I got through trying to watch the movie, I looked it up online, saw it had a sequel, saw Serena Vincent was in the sequel. And I read it didn't do too well. And so I just completely forgot about it. Then a month later, I'm on Tubi again, and it pops up. And I'm all oh yeah, it's that sequel movie with Serena Vincent. I'm all well, you know what? Serena Vincent is one of my favorite Power Rangers, and she's smoking hot. I guess I can watch it for that, or at least until her character dies, right? And so after watching the movie, I actually completed it. Why? It's not that bad. It's actually pretty good and everything, all things considered. It's a pretty good, direct to DVD sequel from a first time director. Trying to think of his name, Victor Garcia. Mostly he used to do short films and stuff. He did a pretty good job in my opinion. The movie is not perfect, and they do add a MacGuffin to why the ghosts reappear and the house is haunted and this and that, which personally they did not have to. I don't know why they added that. Also, there's some strange characters in here. It's kind of literally a rich dude with his own gang squad or something like that. I don't get that part. But other than that, it was actually pretty good. It was pretty captivating and everything. Personally, in my opinion, it should never really been a direct sequel if they was gonna add that MacGuffin and everything. But hey, whatever. And, in my opinion, it's kind of better. Well, actually, in my opinion, it is better than the first. I just could not finish the first. Now, a lot of people do like the first movie. I personally do not. And everything. But, one thing a lot of fans found really cool about this DVD feature is you get to create your own scenes. The movie itself is around 80 to 90 minutes long. Not very long, especially for a movie in 2007. But they love the whole create your own scene thing where you have a different scenario. So it tacked on an extra 30 something minutes or so. And if you want to get it on DVD, good luck. Because the most part, you're going to be buying a used copy for over 20 bucks. Anywhere between 13 to 20 bucks, depending on where you get it. A new copy, well, that's a little bit harder to find. Now, you can get the triple feature thing with House of Wax and Ghost Ship, and that's like $10. You get the second movie and everything. I've never seen those other two movies, so I personally don't want to do it. But I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot cheaper, and it's a new copy than getting a used one. I could just toss the other two DVDs or something. But apparently there's all kind of different versions of the movie. There's like a underrated version and a rated version. Apparently the underrated version is the best. There's another version that doesn't, I think the underrated version does not, no, I keep saying unrated version doesn't have the commentary from the original DVD, but there is extra stuff tacked on from like all the stars and I guess where their character, how they feel about them or some crap like that I read. And so I really, really, really want my own copy of this DVD. I've even done some soul searching online and I can't even find it. So it's like, if people hate this movie so freaking much, then the people on like eBay and stuff, they would not be pricing it that much. Apparently people are trying to get their hands on this copy. It's just, who's gonna pay $20 for a movie that's over like what 20 years old and stuff? And it was a whole lot cheaper back in the day. So like, yeah. And when it comes to this movie, I really like it's funny because there's a episode of The Haunting Hour called Lights Out. And with Lights Out, which I reviewed before, go watch that. It pretty much just rips off these like two movies and stuff. It's like a bunch of kids go to an insane asylum that's been closed down. All of a sudden ghosts start showing up and there's an evil like doctor who's trying to like harm them and like stuff like that. Even though that's not my favorite episode, it's still pretty good. And it's a heck of a lot better than both these movies combined because of the simple fact they did not add no MacGuffin as to why the ghosts are doing what they're doing. Literally, it's just a bunch of kids who watch those ghost shows and ghost hunters and all like, oh, that's lame, that's fake, we can do better. So that's what they go to do. They go to an insane asylum that's closed down and they start videotaping stuff, starting to stage stuff. But then all of a sudden things start really happening and the ending is awesome. And it's just like, see, you don't need a MacGuffin. Just have people wander into an insane asylum just goofing around and let the ghosts start happening, Now, I don't remember what the building looked like from like the first movie this is based off of. But some people say it's completely different. I had to take their word on it because I only watched it like once and half, you know what I'm saying? And so I really enjoyed the visuals. I enjoyed the inside of the Salem Asylum, the walls, the floor, how dingy and grimy everything looked, the cobwebs everywhere. And this is when they added that bluish green filter, which back in the day, they didn't do it that much. Now it's in almost every horror type thing you see, and it's been done to death. But it was pretty fresh back in the day. The dialogue is a heck of a lot better. Some of the characters are pretty cool. I actually like the characters and everything. They're pretty neat. I just don't understand that whole gang thing. That little mobster stuff they have going on in this movie. But I really enjoyed the visual architecture of like the building. I really love the special effects, how people died and stuff. I will say the dude who had his limbs ripped off, he just went splat too much. It would have been nice if the limbs came off and blood went everywhere and then he went kind of kooky crazy. I don't understand how ripping his limbs off made his entire body explode. That didn't make no sense. I guess they didn't want to be too rated R, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, like the kills was pretty good. Like the dude who got like, squeezed into like the wall, that was pretty cool. The fire scene was really cool. Trying to think. I can't think of the other way this one person, I think one person died off screen, which was really lame. And this movie also deals with the whole horror movie tropes of the past. So basically, the black guy and the Asian girl, they die first. No joke. Black dude dies first, Asian girl dies second. And that's really disappointing. I hate when that happens. Now, there are two Italian people in this movie, but Italians are just white Europeans, so hey, whatever. And so, like, also there's random nudity that just comes out of nowhere. I mean, that's the old Hollywood horror movie thing for you. Now, because I did not finish the first movie, I had no idea Lantry's character survived. And so apparently they say she offed herself in this movie, and her sister is persuaded to go back into the house, but she doesn't believe that, like, her sister offed herself and everything. And I think they say Allie just refused to like be in this movie and stuff. I think around that time those Resident Evil movies were coming out, so she was probably, decided to do that instead. Amanda Righetti, she plays the new sister. I think her name is Ariel because Allie's character is named Sarah. And so she is our final girl. And she's a pretty good protagonist and everything. Like, she gets persuaded against her will to go back into that house. And she knows a little bit about it because of what her sister told her, how it has like a locking mechanism to keep people out and everything. And so when she's able to escape, I thought she was going to leave, but either her boyfriend or love interest or something is trapped in there. So she goes back in with a gun. Serena Vincent is in this movie, and she plays the vixen. Man, she's smoking hot in this movie. So is Amanda, but my God, man, Serena. As I was really shocked and surprised, like the character she played, I'm like, oh no. But anyways, let's get into what this movie's about, right? So Professor Robert Hammer, he is like this teacher who's talking about like a lost relic and everything. And he has his assistant named like Cal. And Serena plays Michelle, and she's his student. Basically, to get an A in class, she just sleeps with like the teacher. And so they're looking for this MacGuffin known as like an idol. And he's been looking for it for like 20 years and stuff. So at some point, they get a lead that is going to be at this house, the one from like the first movie. So they head there and start like looking for it, right? And while that's going on, you have Ariel's character, and I think her guy name, okay, it's not Richard, because it's Richard Hammer, and then there's Richard the Doctor, played by Jeffrey Combs. What's his name? I can't remember. So whatever her guy name is, like, they are pretty much taken hostage by this one guy. And I remember him from the movie Can't Hardly Wait. And his name is Eric Palladino. And so, like, it's funny because Eric was in Can't Hardly Wait. I think that's the name of the title of the movie. And Serena was in Not Another Teen Movie, and Not Another Teen Movie spoofed that movie he was in. And so Eric's character, whose name I forgot, I want to say it's Paul, but I really don't remember. And so, like, he has like this entire like like it's weird. Like they kind of like they're like kind of like a mob, like the goons of like a mob, but they're kind of like hired like assassin type people or hired like goons or whatever. I forget the name, not mercenaries, but something. Maybe they are mercenaries. But anyway, he's rich, and he was once the student of the Professor Hammer, and he just like left class one day, and then all of a sudden, he's looking for this like MacGuffin and stuff. And I forget what this MacGuffin's supposed to do. But anyway, it's a weird plot how everybody's looking for this MacGuffin known as an idol. And so they all split up. And when they split up, this is when all the bad stuff starts happening. The ghosts have been, when they was alive, they was tortured by that of Jeffrey Combs' character. His character is Richard something cut, Blaine cut, something like that. I can't remember the name exactly. But basically he tortured these people and like they ended up dead, right? So now they're all ghosts. And apparently Sarah's a ghost too. And so like every time the ghosts like interact with like the bad people and everything, they straight up kill them. But before they kill them, they put their hands on the sides of the people's head. There's like a big flash of light, and then you get to see how this like patient or a nurse or whatever died. Personally, I like this. I think it's cool to see like the backstory of them, and it's in a different filter and stuff, and a different film grain. But I don't like the flash of light. It would have been better if you zoomed into their eyes, then probably do a flash. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, however they die, they make sure they try to kill people in that same fashion. And so the bad guys start dropping one by one by one. I think the black dude gets squeezed in between the wall. The Asian girl, she sees these two like ghost women, and they're like half naked, and they just start making out with her, and she's just like, all right. And then all of a sudden there's this nasty goop on the back of her hand, and she's realizing that these bodies are decomposed and everything, and they straight up kill her. Then, like, the one dude who's with Kyle, he's like a former MMA fighter, and he literally gets his limbs ripped off to where his whole body just goes splat into blood. And so, like, when it comes to the Michelle character, they was wondering how exactly did, like, Eric's character get a lead as to where the idol is. Well, Michelle is like a spy and everything. She's been sleeping around with the teacher to get information, but she's really dating that of like Eric's character. And so now, like at that point, Ariel like escaped, went back into the house, and this doesn't make no sense. She has a gun with her, right? There's only two bad guys left. Why the world didn't she just shoot both of them and let that be? But instead she hides her gun and all this other crap, and they all pointing the guns at each other. Now technically there are two more henchmen, but they end up dying, I think off screen or something like that. And so with that, everybody's still like, scattered, and they're running and getting away from the bad guys, and the bad guy is like someplace else. And so this is kind of part of the movie that just kind of lacks a little bit, because it's kind of like, why are there hench people and this like mobster type dude, But anyways, mobster dude ends up dying, and Michelle gets like, it was so cool. She walked into this room and everything starts floating in the air. There's a bunch of chairs everywhere. She's scared because she knows if these chairs fall, they're gonna hit her in the head. And so they start dropping one by one, and she's dodging them. So that's like really cool, and you're just waiting for her to get hit. But instead, this giant refrigerator falls on her and splats her head. And so with everybody gone, you're thinking, okay, the good people are around, right? So they find a little idol thing, and Ariel had like a vision from like a male ghost talking about destroy it. Why wasn't it her sister? I don't know. Now, technically, her ghost sister is there, played by like, a stunt double lady and stuff, who looks nothing like Allie. And so as she's getting ready to destroy it, all of a sudden here comes the double cross. The professor's like, no, I've been waiting 20 years to get this and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And so it turns out he's possessed. Now, I personally would have loved it if he actually was evil, but they had to give a reason as to why he's not evil. So he's like possessed, but then he's not possessed no more. And so instead of destroying it, she just dumps it in the sewer, and it goes bye-bye, and all the ghosts like go away. By that time, he's dead because of the Jeffrey Combs character and everything, Dr. Richard. But he gets attacked by the rest of like the ghosts, and they kind of like all disappear, explode type thing. It kind of reminds me a little bit of 13 Ghosts, the movie that came out in the early 2000s. So after that, Ariel and her dude, they leave the place. They're the survivors, and they drive off and everything. Now, there's a post-credit scene that I did not see, because for some reason Tubi does not do post-credit scenes. A lot of like streaming services don't do post-credit end scenes and everything. But apparently a couple was making out, and they find a MacGuffin and everything. There was supposed to be another movie, but because of the poor DVD sales, they scrapped it. So honestly, in my opinion, it's really not that bad. Like, you kind of have to like just not think about the first movie. You don't think about how it tries to tie into the first movie. Just think of it as one of those things as that there's a lost relic, and there's like this like mobster dude who wants it. There are these like student type and teacher type people who want it, and it just happens to be an insane asylum, and it just happened to be ghosts and everything. I wish they would have took the MacGuffin out, like I said before. But even if they kept it, like I said, it's a pretty good like horror movie. I've seen worse and everything. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.